Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for attending our exclusive session for the launch of the new book, Likeable Social Media for Latin America region. This session will be hosted by Dave Kerpen, who is a New York Times best-selling author, serial entrepreneur, and global keynote speaker. Dave is the founder and chairman of Likeable Local, a social media software company serving thousands of small businesses. He's also the chairman and co-founder of Likeable Media, an award-winning social media and word-of-mouth marketing agency for big brands. Dave has established himself as a force of people, skills, and business acumen in the ever-evolving social media world. Dave thrives at the intersection of likability and ambition, where he has forged his own role as an expert and leader. He's the author of the 2011 New York Times best-selling book, Likeable Social Media, the 2012 book, Likeable Business, the 2013 book, Likeable Leadership, and the 2016 book, The Art of People, 11 Simple People Skills to Get Everything You Want. Please join me in welcoming our speaker.
Hola, ¿cómo estás? Buenos días. Bienvenidos. And unfortunately, that's most of the Spanish that I speak, but it is wonderful to be here with you today. I am super excited. Thank you, McGraw Hill, for having me, and thank you everyone for joining me. And let me know where you're from. A lot of people have posted in the chat where they are from. I would love to know where you are watching from today. Before we get into Likeable Social Media, I'll tell you my two exciting Mexico stories. I've been to Mexico several times. The last time I was in Mexico was in Mexico City a few years ago for a global keynote for an entrepreneurship conference. And about 10 years ago, I did some work for Ashton Kutcher, the American actor turned businessman. I did some work for his nonprofit. And so we worked together for a little bit, but he did not know that I was keynoting this conference in Mexico City. And actually, I didn't know he was keynoting. He was the other keynote at the conference. So I did my speech and I got off stage, and Ashton Kutcher was up next. And Ashton Kutcher is in the middle of his speech. There's probably about 4,000 people in the audience, big audience. He's in the middle of the speech and he looks out in the front row and he sees me and he says, "Dave Kerpen, what are you doing here?" He gets off the stage and he comes to the front row and gives me a hug. And all I was thinking was, how cool is this that I look like I'm good friends with Ashton Kutcher now to the whole audience. It was really amazing. But I love Mexico. And my other Mexico story is that many years ago, now 2003, so 17 years ago, I guess, I lived in Mexico, in Acapulco, for 4 months when I was filming a reality television show that I'm guessing nobody here has watched, but it was a show on Fox called Paradise Hotel. And it was sexy singles at a luxury resort and me. It made for a very funny, interesting television that all these models and handsome and beautiful people hanging out in this beautiful house in Acapulco. And there I came, this businessman from New York who, you know, is not a model or an actor, but it made for some great television. And I went on a couple of dates. It was filmed in at the Arabesque, which is the name of a beautiful, beautiful mansion in Acapulco. But I went on a couple of dates around town. I stayed a beautiful, beautiful night at Las Brisas, which I think is a hotel chain, which is well respected down there. Okay, enough about Mexico. Let's talk about social media. I had a wonderful time writing this book several years ago, but so much has changed in the world of social media over the last 8 years since I first wrote the book, that we had to write a second edition and now a third edition. And I believe, I'm just about 100% sure that that the version that is just being released is the same version, the third edition. So it's the most updated version of social media, of likable social media. And some things have changed for sure, but some things remain the same. So I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about some key concepts from the book, some key concepts from the world of social media, and then I will absolutely open it up to questions. So if you guys have questions about anything that I say or anything about the book, or really anything at all, I'm here for the next hour. You can ask me questions about business, about entrepreneurship, about social media, about any of my books, about New York, about the election going on in the United States of America today. Anything you want, I am game to answer. But in terms of likable social media, the book starts out with the most important concept, I believe, in social media, and maybe the most important concept in business, and maybe the most important concept in life, and that is listening. I think we all think that we're good listeners, but most of us aren't very good listeners. And when we think about social media marketing, we always think about the talking part. What are you going to tweet? What are you going to post on Facebook? What are you going to post on Instagram? But the truth is, communication is 50% talking and 50% listening. And what most people and companies don't understand about social media is that the real value of social media is in the listening part. So my challenge to those of you watching is to think about how you can better use social media to listen, to pay attention to what your customers are saying, what your prospects are saying, what your competitors are saying, what your staff is saying if you own a big company, what the media is saying about your business, about your products, about your needs. One of my favorite things to do when I keynote speeches is to say to the audience, get out your phones and download the Twitter app and look up the name of your company on Twitter and see who's tweeting about you. And people are amazed at the fact that people are actually talking about them on social media. If you have a small business and people aren't talking about you yet, search for the keywords that your potential customers, your prospective customers would use. So for instance, if you're a recruiter, a recruitment firm, search for the words, we're hiring. If you're a real estate agent, search for the words, selling my house. Think about what words your prospective customers would use, and those are the words to search for and to listen for on social media. So this first concept has not changed at all over the years, and it is super, super important. The next chapter is on targeting. One of the things that I love about social media is your ability to very, very finely tune who it is that you're targeting. It used to be the best way to advertise was television or radio or billboards or direct mail. But one of the challenges of all of those forms of advertising is that you're targeting a very wide variety of people. And you're going to hit some of the right people, but you're also going to hit a lot of the wrong people. And that means you're wasting money. When we talk about Facebook advertising or LinkedIn advertising or social media advertising in general, we can target very, very specifically. So if you're just looking to reach 23-year-olds that love French food and live in Mexico City for your French restaurant that you opened up in Mexico City, then you can just target those very, very specific people. You can target by age, gender, zip code, town, marital status, job title, company that they work in. This incredible, incredible ability to target very, very narrowly and reach just the right people. For fun, a story that I like to tell is that years ago, I discovered the value of targeting, and I took out an ad targeting 34-year-old female married employees of Likeable, my company, that live in New York. Of the 1 billion people on Facebook, only one person saw that ad, my wife. And the ad said, "I love you, Carrie, be home soon." Think about that. 1 billion people on Facebook, and I was able to target one using the right specific targeting criteria. Now, you can no longer do that. Facebook banned ads that target fewer than 20 people. But the idea is still profound. You can reach a very, very specific audience using Facebook's targeting system, and all of the social networks have similar targeting. The next chapter is about thinking like your consumer. A big part of the book is me reminding people to take off your marketing hat and put on your consumer hat and think like a consumer. If you saw this post on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or Pinterest, would you click the like button? Would you comment? Would you share? Or would you ignore that post because you would find it boring or too spammy or salesy? If the answer is that you would like it and you would share it and you would comment on it, if you were the consumer seeing it, then yes, share that piece of content. That's great content. If, on the other hand, the answer is no, I don't think so, well then, is that really worth sharing? It's funny, a lot of people, and by the way, thank you, Carlos Diaz, and I love feedback, so please post in the chat. Sometimes webinars are harder than meetings because I can't see all of you guys. So post in the chat, post in English, post in Spanish. I'll try to figure out what it is that you're saying. But I appreciate your feedback, Carlos Diaz, and everyone that's posting in the chat. Where was I? Targeting, no, thinking like your consumer. Yes. People ask me, how much content is the right amount of content on social media? How many times should I post per day? Here's the truth. If it's bad content, then one post is too many posts. If it's great content, you can post 10 times a day, 20 times a day, 30 times a day, 100 times a day. It's not about how many times you post. It's about how good your content is and how much that content resonates with your audience. Are you adding value with your content? Are you being educational, entertaining, inspirational, or helpful? If you are being educational, entertaining, inspirational, or helpful with your content, great, share away. If it's none of the above, maybe not worth sharing that content on social media. Genesis is asking if there are hours of the day that's better to post your content. Yes, there are. But what those hours are depends on who your audience is. So there's no easy answer except to say you should test different times and different dates and see what resonates the most, what you get the most feedback on. One of the amazing things about social media is that you can test, see what works, see what doesn't. Take what's working and multiply it and scale it. Take what's not working and shut it down. It used to be, to do a television ad, you'd have to spend millions of dollars. And then maybe the ad would be great and maybe the ad would suck. Now you can create a social media piece of content for almost nothing, for free, and see if people like it. If people like it, do more. If people don't like it, shut it down. Either way, it's not that costly, and that's the beautiful thing. I'm afraid if you ask questions, you can have to ask them in English, or I will need my dear friend Gabby or somebody else to translate them. So I'm sorry, Victor, I cannot read your question, but I look forward to it being translated for me. And somebody said I should learn more Spanish, and they are right. I am going to try to learn more Spanish for next time. Maybe I'll learn with my friend, with my son Seth. I speak un poquito español, but just a little bit. Okay, next I want to talk about responsiveness. We're like 10 years into the world of social media, and yet so many companies still don't respond to their customers on social media. That seems crazy to me. Can you imagine if somebody called you up on the phone and said, I have a complaint about your product, or I have a question? Can you imagine if you hung up on them? What about if you are in the middle of a football field with thousands of people watching, and somebody calls you up on the phone, and with thousands of people watching, you hung up the phone on them? You would never do that. That would be crazy. But that's exactly what happens if people post on social media and you don't respond to them. I think it's crazy. But here's the good news. You, the people watching this right now, you have a major opportunity to be different, to be better than all those companies that don't respond to their customers. You can respond. Why is it so important to respond? Not only for the customer that's complaining, but for everyone else that's watching. When you respond to a customer that's complaining, you tell the world that you care about your customers. And by the way, ignoring your customer is a response. It's a response that says, I don't care about you. So never delete something, never delete a negative post, and never ignore a negative post. Instead, use basic principles of customer service. I like the acronym LAST. Listen, apologize, solve, and thank. Listen, talked about that earlier. I hear you. Apologize. I'm so sorry you're having a problem. Solve. I'm going to fix it. I'll send you a private message, direct message. We'll get this fixed for you. And then thank them. Thanks again for your feedback. I appreciate it. It helps us become a better company. When you do that, simple customer service, you tell that customer that you care about them, but you tell the world that's watching. Everything's permanent on the internet. You tell the world that's watching. And I'll tell you what, I would much rather go to a business that has some negative reviews where people responded, where the company responded to those negative reviews, than go to a company that's all positive reviews that I think maybe they made up those reviews, or maybe they deleted the negative reviews. It's not believable. Thank you for the feedback, guys. It's wonderful. I appreciate it. And the questions, keep those coming. Jose is asking, what social media platform is best for selling content? Like many things in social media, the answer is complex. It depends. It depends what you're selling. If it's B2B, probably LinkedIn. If it's B2C, probably Instagram. But if you're targeting really young people, probably TikTok. If you're targeting moms, probably Pinterest. If it's an information or media or sports related product, maybe Twitter. So ultimately, you've got to test based on your thesis, based on your belief about where your customers are and what it is that you're selling. Where are your customers? What are you selling? And test your theory about where it is that they would potentially buy. I mentioned responding to all the negative comments, but I also want to say before we move on, you've got to respond to the positive comments too. Here again, imagine you were working in a store and somebody walked up to you and said, I love your products. I come here every week. I'm such a big fan. Can you imagine saying, hold on, I gotta go deal with another customer. I can't talk to you now. Of course not. You would probably give them a hug. Well, at least before COVID, you would give them a hug. You would give them an elbow bump. You would say, thank you so much for your feedback. I appreciate your kind words. It's the same thing on social media. When you have fans, when you have followers, when you have people that actually like your service, your product, your business, please, by all means, respond to them, thank them, retweet them, share with them. The next chapter is about authenticity and honesty and transparency. And here again, I think we have a major opportunity for those of you that are watching that own or are part of small businesses, because a lot of big businesses still struggle with social media. They can do the advertising part, they can do the targeting part, But where they struggle is in the authenticity part, the human part, the heart. And you have an advantage over the big companies if you can bring your authentic self, even be vulnerable. One of my favorite quotes is from Oprah Winfrey. I think you guys know her down in Mexico and Latin America. Oprah Winfrey said, if I had known how rich I would have become just being my vulnerable self, I would have been vulnerable a lot sooner. Vulnerability and authenticity in social media is a wonderful thing. When we were first starting out, after we made our first $1 million, I wrote an article on LinkedIn, and I wrote about our struggles. I wrote how difficult it was that even though we were making money, it was hard to make payroll. And I was nervous. I was concerned that maybe we couldn't make payroll and we couldn't keep growing. My wife said, Dave, you can't say that. People won't give you business if they think you might not make payroll. But what happened was people appreciated how authentic I was. People appreciated my vulnerability. And not only did we not lose any clients, we actually got new clients from that vulnerability. Now, there's a difference between vulnerability and negativity. Nobody likes people that are constantly complaining on social media. So by all means, I'm not telling you to complain. But what I am saying is, when you are authentic, when you are vulnerable, when you are share your true self, the world has a way of responding positively, in my experience. We talked about value, but I can't say this enough. If you're not bringing value to the table, you're missing out. My friend Laura Fitton, who worked for HubSpot for years, she has a quote that I love. She said, I can sum up my social media strategy in 2 words: be valuable. Sometimes it's as simple as that. How can you as a business or you as a person be valuable for others, be valuable for your customers, be valuable for your prospects, be valuable in the content that you're sharing? If you're a restaurant, share your recipes. Sure, somebody could just take your recipe and bake and make the same food and not have to go to your restaurant. Somebody might say that to me. They have said that to me. But are people really going to do that? Or are people going to appreciate that you shared your recipe, make it for themselves once, and then come visit you that much more, come to your restaurant and support you? In general, I've given away so much. In fact, people have come to me and said, thank you for everything you've given to me. I've used everything you've taught me for free, and I've started my own social media agency. Heck, people compete with me just because I taught them everything for free, but I don't care. At the end of the day, I've been able to build my brand, build my reputation, build my credibility because of all of the valuable content that we've provided for years and years, just like today's webinar, for free to people. So I urge you to think about how you can be valuable and not be worried about giving away too much content. Next chapter is about storytelling. Nobody likes to be sold to, but everybody likes a good story. So don't sell, tell a story. Story that our company still tells about the founding of our company. I fell in love after that reality television show that I told you about in Acapulco. I fell in love with this woman, and we wanted to get married, but we couldn't afford a traditional big wedding. But I wanted to invite all of my friends and all of my family, very, very big network. And we both had a marketing background. So we had an idea, and we partnered with the minor league baseball team of the Mets. And we created a promotion called Our Field of Dreams. And we had a sponsored wedding. And 1-800-Flowers.com sponsored our flowers, and Smirnoff sponsored our alcohol. And we raised $100,000 to get married in front of 500 friends and family and 5,000 strangers at the end of a baseball game. And it was an amazing, amazing wedding. But it was also a very good marketing event. And after the wedding, our vendors got so much PR, so much media, so much television that they came to us and said, this was great. What are you guys doing next? And we couldn't get married again. So we started a company instead. And we tell that story because it shows our creativity. And we still tell that story even 13 years later. Even though we don't sell events, we don't sell promotions, we sell social media and content marketing. But we still tell that story. Why? Because it's a great story. And again, it used to be that if you had a story to tell, the way you would tell it is with a 30-second or 60-second television commercial, or a radio commercial, or a billboard. But now you can tell a story on social media with a tweet, with a 30-second video, with a TikTok video, with an infographic, with a blog post. And the best part about storytelling with social media, if it doesn't work well, tell a different story tomorrow. Change it up a little bit. Keep working on your story until you get it right. That's the beautiful thing. And it doesn't cost a lot of money. One additional note from the third edition that we didn't write about in the first edition of social media is we talked about influencers. And the reality is, in today's world, influencers are meaningful. Not every customer is equal. If Shakira walked into your store or walked into your restaurant, you would probably want to take better care of her than you would every other customer. I know that's not very nice, but it's a reality, right? If Shakira walked into your store, you would want to take care of her. It's the same thing on social media. You have to consider that somebody with 100,000 followers is probably, or should be, probably a bigger priority than somebody with 10 followers. Tapping into influencers and taking care of them and hooking them up with free stuff is a very, very good formula for building your brand and building your business on social media. And it's not just the influencers with 1 million followers. It's much more, who are the people with enough followers that are meaningful for you? So think about this. If you have a small business, the captain of the football team, or the head of the high school cheerleaders, or the mom that's really involved in the local parent-teacher association, those are the people that would be influencers offline. Who are the people that are influential online in your town that have a lot of followers, that have a good amount of influence for whatever it is that your product is or your service is? And think about how to tap into those folks. A little bit more, and then I promise I'll shut up and take your questions. But I appreciate, again, you guys being here and listening to me. The next chapter is about admitting when you screw up. And again, getting back to this concept of vulnerability. I think big companies, especially, and certain older people of a certain generation, have a hard time saying we messed up and I'm sorry. But in reality, it happens all the time. Companies make mistakes all the time. The key is responding quickly. So I'll tell you a story. A few years ago, there was a company that you probably heard of called Netflix decided they were going to launch 2 different divisions. They were going to have their DVD business and their streaming service. And they launched the streaming service called Quickster. Quickster. Most of you probably don't even remember this. Well, within 48 hours of launching Quickster, people complained, they hated it. People complained all over Twitter, all over social media. And Netflix, to their credit, they, within 48 hours, eliminated Quickster, and they moved forward with their new plan, and they didn't look back. Let's look at what's happened to Netflix since then. It's an amazing, amazing story. If they hadn't listened, if they hadn't admitted they made a mistake, maybe they wouldn't be so successful. But they were able to listen and quickly admit that they made a mistake. And the last thing I'm going to note is the value of surprise and delight on social media. Surprise and delight is an amazing thing in business and in life, but it's even better on social media. Why? Because when you surprise and delight, On social media, it's all public. It's even more exciting. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do before I open it up to questions. I'm going to try to do a surprise and delight myself. I'm going to ask any of you that are watching to send a tweet or an Instagram post with the hashtag likable social media. And I'm going to choose one of you and send you an autographed book. Actually, I'll choose 3 and send autographed books, and I'll send one grand prize winner a copy of all 3 of my books autographed for you. A little surprise and delight of my own. So post on Twitter and post on Instagram with the hashtag likable social media, and I will give away some prizes in the next few minutes. And now I'm going to shut up and take some of your questions. So first, I'm going to scroll through the questions here and that are in the chat, and then I will open it up to any questions that you have. But again, I am so grateful to all of you for joining me today, and I look forward to answering your questions. And then I will take out my phone and give away some prizes live on this webinar.
Thank you very much, Dave, for your presentation here. We wrote the information that the people answer for you and the questions that they have for you. And if you want, I can say them to you.
Okay. Sure.
Some of them some of their questions are based in education. One of their questions is, how can we use social media in education, in the universities, for example?
Well, I think I'm a former teacher, and I'm very passionate about education. I think that the #1 way to use social media in education is probably to build community amongst your students, amongst faculty, etc. So using tools like WhatsApp, Slack, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups to help people connect with one another. That'd probably be my #1 thing. I would need to know more about the specific case, but you can certainly use. We have a company called Apprentice where we have college students, and we use Facebook to recruit people from top colleges, because again, you can target by what college people are at. So you can target by what college, by what year they are, by what major they are. So there's lots of ways to use social media within education as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, the other question is which social network to use, but you already answered that. What recommendation would you give to community managers?
Let's see, do I have any vodka with me or tequila? I think it's very hard to be a community manager these days. We have lots that work for us. I think I would say for community managers, make sure that you communicate the value of your work to senior executives. Make sure that people know how important the work that you're doing is, and make sure you take breaks. Some community managers are working 24/7, 7 days a week, because people don't stop complaining. People don't stop talking. There's no such thing as 9 to 5 on social media. So it's very, very important that community managers take care of themselves and take lots of breaks.
Okay, thank you. I think we have another question here. How many times do you think we have to make people stop scrolling down and get their attention to our content? 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 3 seconds?
1 second. Yeah, people will not waste time on anything. I mean, I don't waste time on anything. It has to grab their attention immediately. That's why images are so important in social media. Images are much, much more important than text. You're very rarely going to get somebody's attention with text, but you can get somebody's attention with a beautiful, sharp image. So graphic design, using tools like Canva. Canva is a wonderful tool. And really thinking about crafting the images that you post on social media is very, very important. And same thing with videos, making sure that that first second or two of a video is going to get people's attention is very, very important. Before your next question, I'm going to go live. We're going to choose our first winner from Twitter. So let's see if anybody has posted with the hashtag social media, likable social media. Sorry, by the way, McGraw Hill, that I didn't tell you about this in advance, but hey, it wouldn't have been a surprise if I had told you about it. So I had to do it as a surprise. Let's see if hopefully somebody's tweeting right now. All right. First tweet I've got is at Amartz. Hold on, I'm going to post it right here. At AMARTZZZ. You are our first winner. Congratulations. How do you say congratulations in Spanish? Is it felicitación or is that French? Felicidades.
Felicidades.
Felicidades. We have our first winner is at AMARTZZZ, but don't worry, 2 more winners coming. So make sure you use that hashtag likable social media. Likable social media. Boom. All right. What next question?
Next question. Do you think that social networks will one day take the place of the mass media?
Yes. I think they already have to a great extent.
Yes,
I think they already have to a great extent. I mean, the way I think about it is media is more fragmented than ever before. There are more choices than ever before. You used to have 3 choices of television stations: CBS, ABC, NBC. And now there's lots of TV stations. Similarly, we've got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We started out with Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, the first 3 big ones. And now there's still the 3 big ones, but now you've got Instagram and Snapchat and Pinterest and TikTok, and more will develop. And increasingly, those are the important places to be. And NBC and CBS and old school television is less and less important.
Okay, that's great. We have a lot of questions right now.
And you told me, Eric, you said there wouldn't be questions, but I got questions for you, baby, because I brought it. Likable social media, baby. We're bringing the questions, we're bringing the fun, we're bringing the excitement, and we're bringing the prizes. So one more question, and then I'm going to choose another prize winner. What have you got?
Okay, great. I think this is more for you. Do you think that WhatsApp is the best tool to send political content to your potential voters?
Oh my goodness, we're getting political today.
Yeah.
Election day in the United States, we are getting political. I think that it's very, very complicated. Politics and social media is very, very complicated. But ultimately, I think all of the tools are valuable. And I would go back to, where is your audience? So if you're a conservative Republican who has a lot of older white men that are your audience, then you probably should be communicating on LinkedIn. If you are a 22-year-old female of color who is really targeting young people, then you probably should be on TikTok. You have to think about where your audience is. And that goes just the same for politics. Where are your voters? That's where you should be talking to them.
That's great, because one of the questions, the latest question we have here, it's about TikTok for businesses. Do you recommend it, or it's also for the target, for the person you're targeting?
Yeah, it all depends on who you're targeting. If you're a law firm, if you're an accounting firm, no, you should not be on TikTok for business. That's just silly. But if you are a clothing company that makes clothing for teenagers, yeah, you should be on TikTok for business. It really just has to do with who your target audience is and where they are. And young people are on TikTok in very big numbers. So if you're targeting TikTok, if you're targeting young people, you better be on TikTok. You better be on TikTok. Okay, I'm looking for another winner. I forgot that on Instagram, because of election day, They're not showing recent posts, so I cannot choose a winner on Instagram, unfortunately, because I'm not going to see recent tags. So I'm going to have to go back to Twitter for my next winner. Who's getting an autographed book? Courtesy of my good friends at McGraw Hill, we have got Paola, congratulations, who wrote Amazing Conference. Thank you, Paola. Muchas gracias. And it is at PCTH_. You are our second winner. We have just one more winner coming in the next few minutes. So if you have not tweeted yet, take out your phone. Here's my challenge to you. If you're still not on Twitter, you have 60 seconds. Download the Twitter app on your phone and send me your first tweet. Just post #LikeableSocialMedia for your very first tweet. And you could be our grand prize winner. You could win all 3 of my books signed. Back to the questions. What's next?
Okay, that's great. This one is very, I was laughing about it. Do you think that giveaways are a good way to grow your social media platform?
Well, obviously I do, but here's what I'm going to say. I wouldn't overdo it, and I wouldn't do too many giveaways, because there's something called, I don't know how this will translate to Spanish, something called a prize pig. People that just want to win prizes. I'll never forget, I was at a South by Southwest, a very, very big tech conference in Austin, Texas. And I was trying to build the Likeable brand, and I gave away an iPad and on Twitter, and what I found was that there were people, random people that didn't care, they weren't at the conference, but just wanted to win the iPad that were posting. And I ended up, the winner of the iPad was like a woman in Minnesota who didn't have a job and just wanted to win an iPad. So I would say be very careful with your giveaways. Make sure they're targeted and make sure you're not really spending a ton of money on them. But I do think giveaways can be valuable.
Okay, that's great. I think we have a lot of questions here. What do you think is the best strategy in order to start off a business idea by social media from scratch and with no followers?
Yeah, so I think the important thing is to find customers first. And sometimes people want to build a brand on social media, but it's a waste of time if you can't get customers first. As much as I love social media, make sure that the business idea makes sense first. Make sure that you have customers, and then you can think about building your brand on social media. So I think don't waste a ton of time and money trying to build a social media following before you know if you can actually build a business with that, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it does. We have another question here, but they are libraries. They are libraries inside the universities, but what would you recommend for them and for innovation and in education, like projects, like projects in innovation?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if this is answering the question, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of classes and schools that read this book, and there's some that when they read the book, they, as part of the work that they do in school, they send me tweets and they write articles and they post on social media about the book. I think that's very smart and very innovative, and I'm surprised that more professors aren't using social media to build their to include in their assignments, and to have people connect deeper and stronger on social media. Because of the pandemic, we've seen education basically go online to a great extent, and to me that's sad, but that's also an opportunity for more innovation, for more use of social media to connect people better.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dave. Let me find another one. Some of them are like,
We'll do one more question, and then I'm going to give away the grand prize. So this is it, folks. Put those questions in the chat, and by the way, if you don't get your question answered, I'm going to post my email for anyone that wants to email me afterwards. You could send me an email, dave@likeable.com. If you write it in Spanish, I'll have to get it translated for you, but I'm happy to answer your questions. I also have free office hours every single Thursday. I meet with anybody in the world that wants to meet with me and ask me questions and get help. And you can go to scheduledave.com to meet with me. And finally, I love, you mentioned keynote speaking. I love speaking to groups. So if you have a group that you want me to come in and speak, send me an email, and I'd love to talk to you about that as well. Okay, last question, and then I'm going to choose a grand prize winner. What have you got?
Okay, how can influence social media in the US election? Do you think that Trump used correctly Twitter?
Oh, you gave me a really big last question here. I think Trump, I think we'll see today what happens. But I know that social media and influencers have absolutely played a huge, huge role in this election. It's no secret because I've posted a lot on social media. I am not a Trump supporter myself. I am a very big Joe Biden supporter and a Democrat in the United States. And so you all know what I'm hoping for, but it is no doubt that social media has played a very, very big role, and Mr. Trump's use of Twitter has been extremely influential for him in gaining a huge following, and has helped him gain a very, very big fan base. And on that interesting and sort of strange note, I'm going to choose my final winner. We're going to get all three of my books autographed, and to you, one person from Twitter who has posted likable social media. Oh, this person got my attention because they shared a screenshot. And I did say that images get people's attention right away. So I got to give it to you. Shelly Sandoval. Felicidades. Shelly Sandoval, congratulations. You are my final grand prize winner. Please get me your addresses, or get your addresses, all of my winners, to McGraw Hill so we can get you some prizes. And on behalf of my co-authors who don't get any credit, but they're on here, I'm just going to show you them. Michelle Greenbaum and Robert Burke. Michelle Greenbaum and Robert Burke. On behalf of them, I want to thank McGraw Hill, and I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. So, mucho gracias. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you for your conference, your amazing conference. We're delighted to hearing you. We hope to read more about you, and we're very happy to having you here. As you can read in the chat, you have a lot of comments, and we're gonna send it to you. I don't know if you want to say something for ending this webinar.
Like I said, muchas gracias, y me gusta México, y me gusta Latinoamérica, me gusta Honduras, me gusta Guatemala, me gusta you. Gracias.
Muchas gracias. Thank you very much, Dave, for your time today. Have a great one. And thank you very much, all the attendees that were here with us.
Adios.
See you.